Welcome back to Technological Frontiers, one breakthrough at a time.
Glad to be here.
Today we're taking a deep dive into Web3, and
Oh.
we're looking at Hima Joyal's article, Web3 Decentralized Internet Building Blocks.
Sounds interesting.
What are these, actually?
Yeah.
And Himant is a technologist who loves covering all the latest advancements in tech.
Mm-hmm.
So big thanks to Himant
Yeah.
for this thought-provoking piece, and we highly recommend
Absolutely.
you all check out the full article
Mm-hmm.
for an even deeper exploration of this topic.
Yeah. So
Let me
one thing
point-
I find fascinating about Web3 is that it tackles a problem
Okay.
many internet users feel but might not even be able to put into words.
Put it into words. Okay.
It's the lack of control we have over our own data and our online experiences.
Okay, so you're saying Web3 is less about shiny new tech and more about a fundamental, like,
A power shift.
power shift.
Yeah, exactly. It's about rethinking how the internet works.
Mm-hmm.
At a core level, think about it.
Okay.
In the current Web 2 landscape,
Yeah.
we're basically renting our digital lives from giant tech companies.
Yeah.
They control the platforms, they set the rules, and they monetize our data.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You get locked into their ecosystem,
Absolutely.
and they can just change the terms of service
Yeah.
on a whim.
Yeah.
And it feels pretty disempowering,
Yeah.
especially if you rely on those platforms
Absolutely.
for your work or creative expression.
Right. That's where Web 3 comes in.
So Web3 aims to change that
By distributing control
Okay.
and ownership.
So instead of relying on these centralized platforms,
Right.
it utilizes technologies like blockchain,
Exactly.
smart contracts,
Yep.
to create a more
Decentralized.
decentralized and user-centric internet.
The centric, yes.
One where you have more say over your data,
Absolutely.
your digital assets, and even your online identity.
Yeah.
Hold on, smart contracts. I'm picturing like a document in a suit. What is that?
Yeah.
Can we break that down for folks who might not be familiar?
Good point. Imagine a vending machine.
Okay.
Right. You put in money.
Yeah.
You select a product, and the machine automatically dispenses it.
Okay.
That's essentially how a smart contract works. It's just a piece of code
Okay.
on a blockchain.
Yeah.
And it automatically executes an agreement
Okay.
when certain conditions are met.
So instead of relying on a lawyer
Yeah,
or a third party to enforce a contract, the code itself does the work.
precisely.
Okay.
And because it's on a blockchain,
Yeah.
it's transparent, it's secure, and tamper-proof,
Okay.
which is ideal for a decentralized system where
Yeah.
trust is so important.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Yeah.
So blockchain provides the secure foundation.
Exactly.
Smart contracts automate agreements,
Right.
and the whole system is designed to be less reliant on those central authorities.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the essence of Web3. But you know what makes it really interesting?
Yeah.
Is the implications for
Yeah.
individual users. Let's talk about something you might be familiar with. Owning digital items in games.
Ugh. Don't even get me started. I poured hours into that one game, amassed a sweet collection of like rare armor, and then bam,
Yeah.
they banned my account.
Oh, no.
For some bogus reason, I lost everything.
Ugh.
It felt like my time and effort just evaporated.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of
Yeah.
the limitations of Web2 ownership.
Yeah.
You never truly own those digital assets. Web3 aims to solve this problem through things like NFTs.
NFTs.
Yeah.
Those non-fungible tokens I've seen all over the news. Are they really the key to true ownership in the digital world?
They are a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Think of an NFT as a digital certificate of authenticity
Okay.
for a digital item. It's unique, it's verifiable, and it's recorded on the blockchain, which
Okay.
means it can't be copied or counterfeited.
So in Web3, if I buy that rare armor as an NFT, it actually belongs to me.
That's the idea.
Okay.
You hold the NFT, you own the asset.
Okay.
You could even sell it or trade it
Okay.
on a decentralized marketplace
Wow.
without needing permission from the
Yeah.
game developer.
That is a game changer, literally.
And this concept of ownership goes way beyond just gaming items.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It can apply to digital art, music, collectibles,
Okay.
virtual real estate in the metaverse, and even physical assets in the real world.
Oh,
The
wow.
possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
I'm getting excited now. So we've got this foundation of blockchain,
Yeah.
smart contracts,
Right.
a focus on true ownership through NFTs, and a move away from centralized control.
Yeah.
What are some other key features of Web3 that make it stand out?
Let's talk about censorship resistance. Imagine a scenario where your content is removed from a social media platform because it goes against their guidelines, even if you believe it's perfectly legitimate expression.
Yeah.
Or a situation where an authoritarian government restricts access to information online.
Those are definitely scenarios that hit close to home.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, especially in today's world.
In Web3, the data isn't stored in a central location, controlled by a single entity. It's distributed across a network of computers.
Okay.
This makes it much harder to censor content or restrict access to information.
So it's like the internet equivalent of whack-a-mole. You take down one copy of the information and 10 more pop up in its place.
That's a good analogy.
Okay.
Web3 makes information more resilient and less susceptible to censorship. It gives individuals more control over their data and their online experiences.
This is all starting to sound very idealistic. But is it really achievable?
Yeah.
Is Web3 just a bunch of hype? Or is there real substance behind it?
It's not just hype.
Okay.
We're seeing real progress and development across various areas of Web3. In fact, Hemant's article highlights a few real-world examples that showcase the potential of this technology.
Okay. Let's dive into those.
Okay.
I'm especially curious about those decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs.
Yeah.
I've heard that term thrown around.
Right.
But haven't fully grasped what they are or how they work.
Think of a DAO as a company or organization that runs without a traditional hierarchy or management structure.
So instead of a CEO calling all the shots, the members of the DAO have a direct say in how things are run.
Exactly.
Okay.
Imagine a group of people coming together online, pooling their resources and making decisions collectively through smart contracts.
Okay, so let's say you're passionate about supporting independent musicians.
Right.
You could join a DAO that's dedicated to funding and promoting emerging artists.
Right.
And you'd have a vote in deciding
exactly
which artists to support, how to allocate funds, and even how the DAO itself is governed. So it's like crowdfunding meets democratic decision-making, all powered by blockchain technology.
Exactly.
That's pretty revolutionary.
It is. And DAOs are still relatively new, but they represent a fundamental shift in how we think about organizations and collective action.
So it's not just about profit.
It's about...
It's a shared purpose.
Shared purpose.
And community ownership.
Okay. My mind is officially blown.
Yeah.
But all this talk of DAOs, NFTs, and blockchain, it still feels a bit abstract.
Sure.
Are there any tangible examples of Web3 applications that are already making an impact? Let's look at decentralized finance, or DeFi.
DeFi, okay.
Imagine being able to access financial services, like lending, borrowing, and investing, without going through a traditional bank.
So instead of relying on Wall Street, I could participate in like a decentralized lending platform where the interest rates and the terms are set by the community.
Exactly. DeFi platforms are built on blockchain technology, and they use smart contracts to automate those financial transactions.
So cutting out the middleman.
Cutting out the middleman.
And giving users more control over their assets.
Exactly.
That sounds appealing.
Yeah.
Especially with all the concerns about bank fees and the lack of transparency in traditional finance. But what about security? Aren't these decentralized systems more vulnerable to like hacks and scams?
It's true that security is a concern in any system, whether it's centralized or decentralized. But the transparency and immutability of blockchain technology can actually enhance security in some ways.
Oh, so?
Because transactions are recorded on a public ledger. It's more difficult to manipulate or hide fraudulent activity. And with smart contracts, the rules governing those transactions are clearly defined and enforced by the code itself, which reduces the potential for human error or manipulation.
So it's like having a built-in security audit trail for every financial transaction.
That's one way to think about it. But of course, it's crucial to do your research and choose reputable platforms. Web3 is still an emerging space. And there are certainly risks to be aware of.
Speaking of emerging spaces,
Okay.
He-Man's article also touches on the role of Web3 in the development of the metaverse.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm still a bit fuzzy on what the metaverse actually is.
It's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
And the concept itself is still evolving.
Right.
But at its core,
yeah,
the metaverse is about creating immersive and interconnected virtual worlds where people can interact, work, play, and even own digital assets.
So instead of just browsing websites,
Right.
I'd be able to put on a VR headset and walk around a virtual world.
Exactly.
Interact with other people's avatars, attend virtual events, and even buy and sell virtual property.
That's the general idea.
Okay.
And Web3 technologies like blockchain and NFTs are playing a key role in shaping how these virtual worlds are built and governed.
So this is where things start to get really futuristic.
Right.
How exactly are Web3 technologies shaping the metaverse?
One key aspect is ownership.
Okay.
In Web3-powered metaverses, you can truly own virtual assets like land, buildings, and even digital clothing for your avatar.
Okay.
These assets are represented as NFTs. So you have verifiable ownership that's independent of any specific platform.
So I could buy a virtual plot of land in a metaverse.
Yeah.
As an NFT.
As an NFT, right?
And I would actually own it.
You got it.
Just like I would own real estate in the real world.
Exactly. You could build on that land.
Wow.
You can develop it, rent it out, or even sell it to another user, all without needing permission from a centralized authority.
That's incredible.
It sounds like Web3 is giving us the tools to create our own virtual economies and societies.
Yeah.
It is, and this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine a metaverse where the users collectively govern the world they inhabit, make decisions about its development, and even create their own laws and regulations, all through DAOs and smart contracts.
It's like taking the concept of democracy and applying it to a virtual world.
That's a powerful way to think about it. And while it's still early days, I think the potential for Web3 to shape the metaverse is immense. It's about creating more open, equitable, and user-centric virtual experiences.
Okay, now my brain is officially overloaded.
It's a lot to take in.
This deep dive has definitely opened my eyes to the vast potential of Web3.
It really is a fascinating space.
But I have to ask, what about the people who are less tech-savvy?
Right.
Is Web3 only accessible to those who understand blockchain and crypto?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's true that Web3 can feel intimidating at first, especially with all the technical jargon and new concepts to grasp.
Right.
But the good news is that the technology is constantly evolving to become more user-friendly and accessible.
So you're saying that I don't need to be a...
You don't have to be a blockchain whiz.
Blockchain whiz.
To participate in the Web3 world.
Okay.
Exactly. We're already seeing the emergence of user-friendly wallets, intuitive interfaces, and educational resources that make it easier for anyone to engage with Web3, even if they don't have a deep technical understanding.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
It sounds like Web3 is becoming more inclusive and less of a niche thing for tech enthusiasts.
Right.
But let's be realistic.
Right.
Not everyone is going to embrace this new technology.
Of course.
There are bound to be critics and skeptics.
Absolutely. There are always different perspectives and valid concerns when it comes to any emerging technology, especially one as potentially disruptive as Web3.
So what are some of the main criticisms of Web3?
Yeah.
And how do its proponents address those concerns?
Okay. Well, one of the biggest criticisms is that it's all hype. And speculation, a bubble just waiting to burst.
Yeah, I think we hear that a lot, that, there aren't enough real-world use cases to justify all the excitement.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of noise in the Web3 space. And some projects are certainly more speculative than others.
Yeah.
But to dismiss the entire movement as just hype would be a mistake. We're already seeing tangible applications that are solving real-world problems and creating new opportunities, from empowering artists with NFTs to increasing financial inclusion through DeFi.
Okay, but even if we accept that the use cases are there, what about the environmental impact?
Yeah.
Crypto mining, especially for proof-of-work blockchains, is notoriously energy intensive.
Right.
Isn't Web3 contributing to the climate crisis?
That's a valid concern.
Okay.
It's one that the Web3 community is actively working to address.
Okay.
Many projects are transitioning to more energy-efficient consensus mechanisms, like proof of stake.
Right.
Ethereum, for instance, has already made the switch, significantly reducing its energy consumption.
Okay.
And there's ongoing research into even more sustainable solutions.
So the industry is taking steps.
Absolutely.
To mitigate the environmental impact.
Sustainability is a top priority.
Okay.
For many developers and projects in the Web3 space.
Another concern I often hear is about security.
Yeah.
We've seen high-profile hacks and scams involving cryptocurrencies and NFTs. Doesn't that decentralized nature of Web3 make it inherently more vulnerable?
It's true that Web3 introduces new security challenges.
Okay.
But let's not forget that traditional systems are also vulnerable.
Right.
I mean, we see data breaches and financial fraud happening all the time in the centralized world.
Yeah, that's true.
The difference with Web3 is that security becomes more of an individual responsibility.
So you're in control of your own.
Right, you're in control of your own assets and data, which means you need to take steps to protect them.
So it's like the Wild West of the internet.
Yeah.
You're responsible for your own safety.
To some extent, yes.
Okay.
But that also means you have more control and agency.
Okay.
It's about being aware of the risks and taking precautions, just as you would in any online environment.
Okay, so with great power comes great responsibility.
Right. But remember, there are also tools and resources available to help you navigate the Web3 world safely and responsibly.
This deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening.
It's a lot to take in.
We've covered so much ground from the fundamental principles of Web3 to exploring its real-world applications, addressing some of the key criticisms. But before we wrap up, I'd love to get your take on the future of Web3.
Yeah.
Is it going to become like the dominant paradigm of the internet, or is it just a passing fad?
It's impossible to predict the future with certainty,
Yeah.
but I believe Web3 is here to stay.
Okay.
It represents a fundamental shift in how we think about the internet power and ownership in the digital realm. And while there will undoubtedly be challenges and setbacks along the way,
Sure.
I think the underlying principles of decentralization, transparency, and user empowerment are just too powerful to ignore.
So we're still in the early stages
I think so.
of this technological revolution.
Yeah, I think we are.
This has been a truly fascinating
It has been fun.
exploration of Web3.
Yeah, it has.
We learned so much from Himant Joyal's insightful article.
He really knows his stuff.
What stands out to you as the most exciting or perhaps even concerning aspect of Web3's potential?
For me, it's the potential for Web3 to democratize access to opportunity.
Okay.
Whether it's empowering creators to monetize their work directly, giving individuals more control over their financial assets, or creating new avenues for community ownership and governance. I think Web3 has the potential to level the playing field and create a more equitable digital landscape.
Yeah.
Of course, there are risks and challenges to address.
Sure.
But the possibilities are truly inspiring.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
This deep dive has certainly left me with a lot to think about.
It really has.
And I hope it's done the same for you.
Me too, our listeners.
If you're interested in exploring Web3 further, we highly recommend checking out Himant Joyal's full article.
Absolutely. It's a great read.
We'll provide a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
And as always, we encourage you to continue exploring, questioning, and shaping the future of technology.
Absolutely.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.